of another country. I think myself that the Vietnamese intervention in Cambodia and Kampuchea can be justified. I think the Tanzanian crossing of the border of Uganda, which led to the collapse of the Amin regime, can be justified also. But these are careful and localized, and to borrow from St. Augustine, who I must say I think is the father of tautology in these matters, they were at least proportionate. I can't let, whether or not anyone else is going to ask about it, it just isn't true that the United States did not support the 1967 occupation of the West Bank and Gaza, nor is it true to say that it doesn't continue to support it in the sense that it pays for it and that it votes to uphold it at the United Nations, votes to protect the occupier, and supplies the occupier with the necessary armaments with which to do it. That meets most of the tests for an underwriter, in my opinion. And it also raises an interesting question. Who does Morton mean by nobody? I know who he means when he means nobody. He means nobody he thinks counts in the world of, say, the Council on Foreign Relations, the places where they sing in the councils of NATO and Washington and so forth. It's certainly true in those places. Nobody, as you put it, I wrote it down, nobody likes the PLO. But I know at least one place where they like the PLO, and that's where the Palestinians live, and that remains true. And it remains true both as a moral point and as a political point. The PLO was long ago chosen by the Palestinian people as their representative in the struggle for national self-determination, like it or not. A failure to recognize that is certainly a moral failure, but it's also a crashing political one.
Well, let's deal with the Palestinian point. The United States... Oh, the butchery. All right, the butchery. Do I have to go through the whole litany of Saddam Hussein? And I think you'll all agree that Saddam Hussein is a butcher. Yeah, all right. I do not find. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. Where are we? We are not. Look, Wounded Knee.
Oh, come on.
All right, calm down. Look. Oh, look, it's a question of whether the policy of the United States government in any time over which we have any control, right, is engaged in the kind of butchery that you see people like Saddam Hussein engaged in. Now, did we kill a lot of people?
Would you let him be
in Vietnam? Thank you. In Vietnam, we killed a lot of people. We killed a lot of people in Vietnam. We did kill a lot of people in Vietnam. The people of Vietnam, in the case of Korea, there was an invasion of the North. Of the South by the North. We were responding to that invasion. It was a defensive war, and it was not an aggressive war. In the case of Vietnam, it was a misguided attempt to forestall communism from taking over a region. We confused it. It was not a war of imperialism. It was a stupid war. We should never have been in it. But it was not a war undertaken to extend the boundaries of the United States or extend control over a part of the world. It was a defensive war as we understood it at the time. Furthermore, when the refugees, and I wish you would examine the way refugees run. For some reason, they always run in our direction. From North Vietnam, they ran to South Vietnam. Very few went in the other direction. When we lost out in Vietnam, the refugees all got on boats and risked pirates and sharks and everything else in order to get the hell out of that wonderful country that we lost to. My guess is that if a vote had been taken or ever allowed in Vietnam after the wonderful communist victory, that if people could have asked whether they would have just as soon had Nguyen Van Thieu there or not, they probably would have voted for Nguyen Van Thieu after they saw what the communists did. It is a wreckage of a country, right? It is run as a prison camp. We do not run prison camps. We do not run prison camps. We do not run prison camps, and we have. I'm not saying that America. Now, just a second. Just a minute now.
If I could just insert here, because you're not being heard. If we're going to have the guests speak, I think most people here would like to hear them, and it's hard to hear them over all the cat calls.
Save it for Gene Kirkpatrick. All right. Next.
I'd like to say this in the context of what seems to be a growing hardline response to the Palestinian problem in Israel, and I'd like to suggest that your concept of a just war is going to make impossible a just peace. Nations obviously do not learn by example or by history or from history. Maybe they can learn by example, and the example we've set right now is you draw a line in the sand and you destroy everything on the other side. How can we hope for a negotiated settlement when we have put such validity on the use of force?
I'm not saying that there's necessarily going to be a successful, peaceful conclusion to the Arab-Israeli problem. It is a horrifically difficult problem. What there is here is an opportunity created by the fact that, at least as of last week, American prestige in the region was very high. We have influence that we didn't used to have because we've proved that we're willing to use force in order to defend these various countries, a matter which was in deep doubt before August 2nd. So we have some ability to persuade countries like Saudi Arabia, which have a lot of money, to help us out in trying to put over a Middle East peace settlement. Now, the way it could work is it could work by the Saudis saying to the Syrians, no more money unless you're willing to enter into good faith negotiations with the Israelis. And we've got to say to the Israelis, for the moment, not forever, for the moment, the heat is off on the Palestinian issue as to a long-term settlement, but you get into business with the Syrians on the Golan Heights and see if you can't work out a deal. Meanwhile, what we should be doing, and I think we have some possibility of doing it, by the fact that we have defended the Israelis along with everybody else with Patriot missiles, and we are a reliable partner, is that we can say to the Israelis, okay, the Palestinians are difficult. They cheered the Scuds as they were flying over. The Palestinians hate your guts, but if you do, but go back to at least Camp David and offer elections, offer a humane governance of the region, offer negotiations with whoever the Palestinians elect in the next round, and conduct and then agree to talk to them about the final settlement somewhere off in the distance, as you agreed in the case of Camp David. Now, those things are possible to do. Those are the currently going measures being contemplated by the Bush administration, and this is not an imperialistic endeavor. This is, if you could work it out, an activity that deserves a Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, to get something done here after all these years of fighting and hatred and killing would be a considerable accomplishment, and that's the channel that it could happen by. And I don't see any other channel. If we don't do it, nothing's going to happen. And when Christopher was talking about, well, the next war is going to be the war to contain Iran after Iraq, the question is, what happens to that region if the United States is not around to do anything? Where the Iraqis go after the Iranians go after the Saudis, and everybody is blowing up everybody else's oil fields. It could be worse. It could be worse.
Yeah, I'd like to say a couple of things. The first of which I regret. It seems to me unpardonable that Morton should get rhino pen noises when he's making his case, because it also seems to me, as I judge the sense of the meeting, he's probably in the minority, in your opinion. That is all the more reason not to make those noises. If you knew how you sounded when you make them, you wouldn't do it. The grammar of the last questioner, the implication was